What's going on, Flightfam? This is your captain speaking, and welcome back to Flight4080. Now, in the last video, well, I'll let this little montage speak for itself. So I have to give a huge shout out before we even get into the video, because the amount of comments, both great ones that are classified as constructive criticism, all comments are welcome, and I really do appreciate everyone that watched Chapter 3 of the British Ballads. I heavily do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I'm not just saying that at all. It's something that I'm really passionate about, and I really do appreciate it. And for all the new subscribers, welcome aboard. And I really do appreciate you guys coming in and building up this channel. So I definitely do appreciate every single view, every single like, every single comment, every single subscription. I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
Mr. Malik.
Thank you so much.
Wish you all the best. Have a nice day.
You too, thank you.
Are you going to US now?
Yes.
Oh, safe journey.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
It is cold here. However, what I don't appreciate is the UK immigration proceedings. I didn't necessarily go through UK immigration, I went through security. Yes, but you know, I'll allow you to move forward with your video instead of me immediately going after you. Well, gee, thanks. Anyways, I did just get off a British Airways Flight 74 from Lagos, and security went very smooth. So, unlike the last time, I know exactly where the showers are in the lounge. It was very weird the last time, so let me run, take a shower, and the 8-hour long binge on anything that I can watch or anybody who I could talk to begins. So after security, I went straight to the Galleries Club, just like I did the last time. This time, I'm not going to be there that long, so I thought, but I definitely needed a shower. Good morning. Alright, how you doing?
Shower?
Yes.
Okay, shower 16, sir.
16?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes. Thank you so much. Shower number 16. What's this one? Okay, nothing's different. Let me take a shower and I'll get back to you guys. So here is where the British Airways streak of demureness starts to as a matter of fact, I already said that before in chapter 2, and then chapter 3, it just continued to deteriorate. So let's just say a nuke was dropped on this airline. And the reason why I say that is the airline staff at Heathrow gave me misinformation upon misinformation upon misinformation. When I was going through security, I just thought to myself, wait a second, you're going to be in an airport for 11 hours. Being that I'm an American passport holder, I do get the chance to get into the United Kingdom, and I was looking up and down while I was in Lagos with my family. So I said, you know what, let me ask one of the security agents to see if I'm able to go through UK immigration, or at least try to get to central London as fast as I possibly can without missing my flight. When I asked security if it's possible for me to enter the UK and go through immigration. The security agent told me, yes, it is possible. All I needed to do was go to one of the help desks or help kiosks down in the departures hall and ask one of the agents to escort me down to the immigration hall. So after taking a lovely shower, I went back to the help desk or help kiosk, whichever one that you prefer. Guess what happened? I was denied entry into the UK by a British Airways staff member, and here's why. They stated that I did not have free reign to enter the United Kingdom, and I did tell them, hey, is it because I'm coming from Lagos? Or is it because, as a traveler, I want to know what the main reason is as to why this specific person, and mind you, they're not an immigration customs official, they're an airline staff, and they said no, nobody has the right as they're transiting to enter the United Kingdom. And I did ask even if it's an American passport, and she said yes.
What?
I went back to the lounge, and as I sat in the lounge, I'm sitting there to myself and I'm like, wait a second, something doesn't seem right, because as an American passport holder, I do have the right to stay in the UK for up to 6 months if I wanted to. I just can't work or anything like that. But I was denied to go into London or just to leave the airport to get some fresh air and stretch my legs and enter another country, all because of an airline staff's lack of knowledge on immigration proceedings. Go figure. So immigration proceedings aside, in the last video I talked about the competitor to British Airways between the London and Lagos sector, Air Peace, but I only mentioned them. Right now, I'll talk a little bit about them. Maybe a little bit more if I decide to go into the historical factors of Air Peace. Oh, I love history. Well, of course you do for a fake-ass Brit. Did you just mention us? Hey, watch your tone. I didn't say that. But you just... Please, don't interrupt me. The history lesson is about to begin, so sit down and relax. So according to Skytrax, or Scamtrax as a lot of us would say, the top 10 airlines in Africa are as follows. Fastjet, Lyft, FlySaf Air, Kenya Airways, Royal Air Maroc, Egypt Air, South African Airways, Rwanda Air, Air Mauritius, and of course, Ethiopian Airlines in the number 1 spot. I find that to be a very debatable list. For starters, South African Airways is going through financial restructuring, so I would put them in an honorable mention. However, in the Western African region, we do have another player at play, and hopefully they can come up on this list or on a more credible list, in my personal opinion, down the line. And that is Air Peace. I think I'll let you take over from here with your famous line. Oh, that's very nice of you. According to Wikipedia... Alright, you can stop there. According to Wikipedia, Air Peace Limited is a private Nigerian airline founded in 2014 with its head office located in Ikeja, Lagos State in Nigeria, and the largest airline of Nigeria and West Africa. Just a side note, you had other airlines before Air Peace that were technically national carriers. Air Peace, which provides passenger and charter services, serves the major cities of Nigeria and flies to several Western African destinations, the Middle East, and the United Kingdom. The airline also established a subsidiary, Air Peace Hopper, in 2018. The CEO of Air Peace is Alan Onyema, a Nigerian lawyer and entrepreneur. Currently, their operating bases are at the 2 major airline hubs of Nigeria at Murtala Muhammad International Airport in Lagos and Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. Currently, their fleet size is at 29, and their destinations is at 20. Air Peace aims to be a disruptor. British Airways only flies to 2 destinations to Nigeria, Abuja and Lagos, respectively. Even though there are more Nigerians living in the United States than the United Kingdom to Nigeria sector is a very profitable sector for trade, business, and leisure travelers alike. Air Peace aims to disrupt both Virgin Atlantic and British Airways in the market share, just due to the fact that British Airways and Virgin Atlantic have had their own pricing formats for the past couple of decades. For example, I'll be transparent in this video. My ticket, as per 2023 pricing, my itinerary was a business class trip going to Nigeria. However, coming back, I was supposed to only fly in World Traveler, or economy class. I decided to give myself a little bit of a Christmas gift and upgrade back to Club World, just given the fact that I didn't really have an enjoyable experience on my flight from London to Lagos. It was a decent upgrade charge, however, looking back at it now, it wasn't as decent as I thought. That's because of all the taxes and charges that British Airways charges on every single passenger, especially going between the US and Lagos or from London to Lagos. So on my itinerary, it goes as follows. The passenger civil aviation security service fee of the United States at $5.60. The international transportation tax from the United States of $21.10. So it sounds pretty reasonable, but we'll keep on going. The international transportation tax again, $20.10. So this is probably my flight coming back into John F. Kennedy International Airport. The animal and plant health user fee, or APHIS of the United States, $3.83. So it's starting to make a little bit more sense. But then when we get over to the charges from the United Kingdom, you'll see. But sticking to the United States, we have two more fees. The immigration user fee, which was at $7, and then the customs user fee, which was $6.52. And this is 2023 fees, not 2025. I wouldn't be surprised if it actually went up. Now, for the United Kingdom, it was a passenger service charge of $105.20. The airport service charge in Nigeria was another $100. The security charge in Nigeria was $20, and the passenger facility charge was $4.50. So the total government authority and airport charges was $294.84.
But wait, there's more.
But then, the British Airways surcharges was even more egregious. The total for British Airways fees and surcharges was a whopping $915.
What?
The total taxes and fees and surcharges per passenger, which it was only me, was $1,209.85. Comparing the total government authority and airport surcharges, it wasn't as much. It's $294. For the price of the ticket that I paid for, British Airways definitely did do highway robbery with their own fees and surcharges. It doesn't make any sense to me. Oh, and to add to that, I spent 19,400 avios on my original itinerary just so I can put a little bit of a dent on the pretty penny that I paid for the original itinerary. I'll complain about it because it's a lot of money coming from travelers going to and from Nigeria. But I hope that Air Peace one day becomes the flag carrier for Nigeria, just given the fact that they're one of the only carriers in Nigeria to have wide-body aircraft. I know some people would say Max Air, and others would say Osman Air, but those flights are mainly for Hajj. Currently, Air Peace is the only airline in Nigeria with regularly scheduled wide-body flights. The Western African airline is looking like it's going to be a Western African giant. Hopefully that comes within the next 5 to 10 years. And I'm hoping for good tidings for this potential Nigerian flag carrier candidate. But let's get back to the sad factor of my time with British Airways. One thing about traveling during the holidays, especially if you're traveling away from family, normally you're going towards family, but when you're traveling away from family, it's one of the hardest things that you can go through. I know I said that a little bit earlier in part 3, but it's so true. Imagine you sitting back and you're watching a movie, and the movie in question is Fast 7, and if you watch Fast 7 and you watch the ending, you know what happens. Unfortunately, Paul Walker passed away due to an automobile accident. And of course, knowing the ramifications of what happens later down the line in the movie, towards the end of the movie, it's a real tearjerker. So I'm sitting back in the lounge. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to London to make my mind a little bit more busy. And I'm already missing my family. I'm missing my loved ones and my significant other. So what happens? I'm sitting down crying and thinking about them. And I'm not crying profusely, but I'm just tearing up. And a little girl was just staring at me, and I'm just like, with a straight face. Oh, you poor baby. Oh, but you just shut up. Hey, you're not going to do that again. But sitting in a lounge during Christmas was pretty uneventful. As a matter of fact, it was pretty depressing. I didn't even want to go back to New York yet. The lounge setup, to be honest with you, As much as you've heard me gripe about Terminal 8 in past videos, Terminal 8 in JFK, especially the Greenwich Lounge, is much better than Terminal 5 and their lounges. Honestly, it's seen better days, and to be very frank with you, it reminds me of some lounges with United Airlines at the United Club. So British Airways, with all the taxes that you take from us, I think you should invest your money in improving your lounges, especially considering the fact that you use the same cutlery and dishes off of your aircrafts in order for you to serve passengers in your lounges. Not saying it's a bad thing, but you might want to be a little bit more subtle when you do it. So after spending about 9.5 hours in the Galleries Club, sobbing about family and thinking about my life, I figured that it was finally time for me to start heading towards the gate. So I'm absolutely gutted because I wasn't able to go to London today. It is now time for me to go back to the American home, New York-JFK. And they placed me in C52, so that means I have to take the train all the way to the other concourse, the furthest concourse in Terminal 5. Oh boy. Honest review of the Galleries Club, you're gonna find this funny. United is actually better. I said it, United is better. Let's head over to the C terminal. Matter of fact, I just came from there. I just came from there when I just arrived from Lagos. So let's head over there and let's start the boarding process to head back home. Take me back to Nigeria, please. 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 Oh no, don't worry, that's coming soon. Wait, what?
This is gate C52 to C66. Please take all belongings with you.
Not long after getting to the gate, the crew was about to board the aircraft, which means boarding is about to begin soon and the sad journey back to New York. Soon after, boarding commenced and it took a little time to get onto the aircraft. Hello.
Hi, welcome on board. Perfect, straight across, take a ride.
Alright, thank you. Upon boarding, getting aboard this aircraft, given its age, it actually looks pretty decent until you get to the seat. Granted, it's a Boeing 777-200ER, and most of them are approaching 30 or at 30 at this point. The seat itself looks like 2023. The seat monitor, on the other hand, acts like it's 2007. But thank God to mention, there was a little lip in between the cabin wall and the suite itself, so that means no debris like our last flight or the last two flights on the 787-10. But remember when I was talking about those 2007 looking monitors? Well, it starts off with the remote. The remote looked like a remote controller that you would get from a Marshall's in 2007, but the infotainment system itself, the interface, was very, very old. Luckily it had Paramount Plus, but I didn't get the chance to use it. At least we have a nice engine view to compensate. And of course, the infamous vanity storage with the infamous scratches. And within it, same old bottle of Harrogate still water, and the headphones that I never use because I always use my Beats. And a nice mirror with a little bit of dust. Next to that was the smaller bin for smaller electronics such as phones and earbuds. And in the slightly bigger storage bin, Jesus mate, can you just clean up some of your rubbish? Shut up. In the center, you have the placement for the remote control for the infotainment system. To the left, you have the universal power outlet and the traditional USB-A outlet right under it. And to the right of that, you have the auxiliary port and two more USB-A ports, which is pretty decent, but given the fact that everybody's switching over to USB-C, it's a little bit on the downer side. The kind FA came around and provided the welcome drink, and of course, I went with a little bit of champagne to calm my woes, sadness, and slight depression. And of course, the signature White Company black leather amenity kit. I have about 4 of these, and my wife technically took one from me. Not long after, it was time to push back. And to be honest, on such a beautiful day, it still was a very depressing day. But let's take a little bit of that depression off by talking about this amazing and legendary aircraft, the Boeing 777-200ER. This afternoon's flight will be operating as British Airways BA115 with the call sign of Speedbird 115. Today's registration will be on Golf-Victor India India Hotel, a 26-year-old Boeing 777-200ER at the time of flight. And as we taxi towards runway 27 right under a beautiful English afternoon, which is fairly rare. Oh, don't talk about the United Kingdom that way. Please spare me, you barely get any good weather. Anyways, I'll turn on the fasten seatbelt sign and allow you to listen to the original General Electric engines that were first placed on the Boeing 777 series, the GE90-85B, the older brother to the GE90-115B that you hear on the Boeing 777-300ER. Just a side note, I kinda wish I was on the Airbus A350 right now, but this one isn't so bad.
Well, isn't it such a splendid afternoon for flying? After takeoff, we climbed over Windsor, then committed to a slight right turn, then continuing our climb near Henley-on-Thames, Pangbourne, Compton, Wantage. Wait, hold on, did you just say Compton? No, not the one in Los Angeles, you twit. Highworth, Cricklade, Minchinhampton. Minchin what? Just please, you just need to deal with me for another 2 minutes or so. Hopefully it's shorter. I beg your pardon? No, go on. Anyways, we would continue into Wales, just north of Cardiff, and leave the United Kingdom over Cardigan. As a matter of fact, I need a cardigan right now. It's starting to get a little bit chilly outside. After crossing St. George's Channel, we would enter Irish airspace. Top of the morning to ya. Excuse me, it's actually the afternoon, so you best correct yourself. Then leaving Irish airspace near Clifton. And now for the uncharted journey over the North Atlantic. I think that's where I can cut you off because we're no longer in your precious little airspace. Oh, you Americans have no manners, don't you? I do, I just don't have time for your BS. Anyways, before Mr. Sophisticated gets a little bit too hostile, we traversed over the North Atlantic for a few hours, before finally reaching Canada near St. John's, then continuing south towards Nova Scotia. And finally we would reach the US, passing over Provincetown, just southeast of Boston. Continuing onward to Plymouth, and this is where our trip begins to come to an end. Starting our descent over Providence, Rhode Island, continuing onward to Warwick, and leaving Rhode Island over Westerly, before finally reaching New York airspace over Long Island, beginning our approach, passing over Greenport, Southold, Mattatuck, Flanders, Riverhead, East Mauritius, Mastic Shirley, Brookhaven, Patchogue, Sayville, descending over Fire Island by Robert Moses State Park, before going back out over the Atlantic to make a right turn to begin our final approach, descending over Long Beach, Island Park, Woodmere, and Cedarhurst before touching down on runway 31 right at New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport. This afternoon's flight time will be 7 hours 24 minutes, cruising at 37, 38, and 39,000 feet respectively. Since we're at cruising altitude, I'll turn off the fasten seatbelt sign and let's get into the flight. I'll start off by giving you a little bit more information about this specific aircraft. As mentioned before, the Boeing 777-200ER. British Airways has a fleet of 43 777-200ERs, which are all over 20 years old, so they're pretty up there in age. However, they were retrofitted a few years back, so they won't feel like 1995. This 777 comes equipped with 4 classes. First class is spread out into 2 rows. In a 1-2-1 configuration, the total occupants in this cabin is 8. Followed by that is Club World, in a 1-2-1 configuration as well. The total occupants in this cabin is 49. Followed by that is World Traveler Plus, or Premium Economy. In a 2-4-2 configuration, the total occupants in this cabin is 40. Now Economy gets a little bit more interesting. In row 25 and row 40, there are only 4 seats in the middle of the aircraft. In row 25, it's due to the L3 and R3 doors, so no seats can be put directly next to them. And in row 40, the same could be said, plus the curvature at the rear of the fuselage of the aircraft. It's in a standard high-density economy setup in a 3-4-3 configuration. From rows 36 down to row 39, it's in a 2-4-2 configuration. The total occupants in this cabin is 138. And the grand total for this 777-200ER is 235 passengers. That's about 17 short from the bigger 777-300ER that I first took in part 1. My seat on this afternoon's flight is 12 kilo, right at the beginning of the wing, and next to those beautiful GE90s. While we were still climbing slightly, I decided to try out the infotainment system, and let me make this short and sweet. I purchased the Wi-Fi for about $20. Here's the problem, I shouldn't have to. British Airways has a decent selection of movies. That's if the IFE was working with what I wanted to watch. I wanted to watch Too Fast, Too Furious, and I couldn't for the life of me start the movie at all. There was a bug problem in the interface. Something told me, you know what, keep trying different movies to see which would work. I tried at least 10, and guess which movie worked for me in the entire library? The Harry Potter catalog. Why yes, of course, you need a touch of British culture before you decide to go back to that American way of life. Nobody freaking asked you. My god, I'll just leave you alone for now. Please do, because the journey's almost over. Not long after, the meal service would begin. I didn't choose a starter at all because all I wanted was just lunch so I could just continue watching my movie. The choice I made was roasted British turkey breast. And yes, the turkey was dry. Luckily there was a little bit of gravy that kinda saved it. Honestly, this flight was a little bit on the uneventful side, unfortunately. Again, I had a lot on my mind, but the views though were absolutely magnificent. I don't know, my mind just tends to wander. Just looking out the window, seeing the world pass you by. And just 2 hours before arrival, a light meal service was given. It was the roasted chicken with honey mustard on ciabatta bread. And to be honest with you, this was better than the initial meal service. Now isn't that lovely? A nice little piece of chocolate, which unfortunately means that we are on approach. So, since we're on our approach, I'll just talk to you a little bit about what I think about British Airways in 2023, 2024, and technically 2025 now. I can confidently say finally I crossed off something on my bucket list, which was to fly British Airways in business class. Now, of course, there's always first class, but I wanted to try the Club World Suite. To be honest with you, for the price that I paid, especially with the upgrade, it didn't necessarily live up to the hype. So I hope that British Airways can improve on this. However, the crew on every single one of my flights, except for BA75, every other crew was absolutely proficient, amazing, and lovely. So the British charm is definitely there with British Airways. And the fact that I spent nearly $3,000 on this entire itinerary, yeah, I don't think that I will be running to pay for British Airways business class anytime soon. And no, I'm not sour about the fact that we're getting ready to touch down into JFK. And with that being said, I will turn on the fasten seatbelt sign and show you the famous view of landing at New York JFK. look who's back home. This guy to shut up. What was that? Oh, nothing. Anyways, I did not find any Vex. Welcome to New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport, where the local time is 4:35 p.m. And even though we left London 11 minutes late, we ended up coming back to JFK 44 minutes early. Why, of course, British Airways is the best. Well, then tell me, why is it that when I get off of my flight, I'm stuck at the baggage claim for 2 hours and my second bag was the very last bag to come off of the belt? Oh, I hope you got a little bit of compensation for that. As a matter of fact, I did. After sending a long and hefty complaint to British Airways, I received a whopping 10,000 avios. Well, to be honest with you, I also added the fact about the scratches and the seat problem that I had on my flight from London to Lagos. Well, that's not exactly bad, now is it? No, my friend, it is not. And with that being said, what did you think of the series? Do you think that British Airways is still one of the best airlines in the world? Would you take a flight in British Airways in any form of travel? First, business, premium, or in regular economy in the back? Please do not hesitate to let me know in the comment section below. Also, do you think that the fares that they charge over to Nigeria is a fair fare? Please do not hesitate to let me know in the comment section below. Well, that I can agree that isn't fair for any of our Nigerian travelers. Yes, Habibi, it isn't. Habibi? Okay, but why Habibi? Well, it's for something coming up soon. What is that exactly? Well, you're just gonna have to wait and see. But let's just say they're better than British Airways, but not by much. Well, until then, I cannot wait to see what you have in store. And I would like to take the time to give you a heartfelt thank you for watching another review on Flight4080. Thank you for watching the finale of the British Ballads. And I'll see you guys really soon with another interesting series. Until then, always remember to keep climbing.